Thank you for joining us for another edition of Startland News Reports, presented in partnership with Fishtech. I'm Austin Barnes. Today, we're celebrating Startland News' inaugural class of Community Builders to Watch, a group of dedicated Kansas Cityans working to make the community a better place through education, entrepreneurship, creative work, civic work, and all of those things in between. Today's broadcast is further made possible by our supporting sponsors at PlexPod, the Kauffman Foundation, and Google Fiber, as well as you at home who've made gifts to Startland News, either monthly or annual, through our reader support drive taking place right now. We're grateful for your support, and we couldn't do this work without you. Today's broadcast features a musical performance by the Golden Groves, as well as a look at how Startland News is building community through local journalism. But first, let's meet our first batch of Kansas City Community Builders to Watch.
We have Charon from the Poorhouse KC and Deanna from the Latino Arts Foundation. Thank y'all for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Y'all are our 2021 Kansas City Community Builders to Watch. Sheesh. And you actually go back with each other, so can you explain that relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. So Deanna actually was a part of our very first cohort, small business development cohort. And it's a 15-week program that we do some just kind of small business essentials, if you will. And we bring in guests and speakers. And we the funny thing is we started, our plan was to do this in person. And I think that was right before the pandemic hit and everything like shut down. And so what we did is we decided to go ahead and pivot and go online with it. And Deanna and everybody else in the cohort were gracious enough to continue in the program and rock with us. And we're so appreciative of them and allowing us to invade their Saturday mornings with our class stuff. So it's really fun, really cool.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. We was actually on Zoom during the classes, and to teach on Zoom the way we did, we done it. It helped us, come together and be like, hey, I need this help. I need this to guide me with the business. So we was actually helping, bringing resources online, which was kind of interesting at a time because we wasn't used to the online. We was used to being in person. So that was kind of cool to help Deanna with that, and our cohorts were in the class.
So I reached out to Dan and Charon probably maybe half a year into when I started my not-for-profit. And the reason I did is because I was watching from afar, like, wow, they're building up something so amazing, and they're doing it with their community. And it's also the Black community. And one of the biggest things with me and my foundation is that it's not just our brown community. We're Black and brown, and so many other communities that should be united if we're not. And so working with Porterhouse KC was our first time like working alongside the Black community, and that has not stopped since. Like Dan and Charon and the team and our cohort and the new cohort have all been supporting of us. We've been supporting of all of them. We've actually opened doors to our community to what they're doing. Because unfortunately in our community here in Kansas City, in the Latino community, Chicano community, there is not, an entrepreneur program like this for us. And so I was the only Latina Chicana in the cohort. And so it really brought to light that, our community in Kansas City, we need this for us. But if we don't have it, let's unite with people that are already doing it and bring them to this entrepreneurship program. And that's what I've been doing ever since I started, was share that out always.
Yeah, it's incredible. And it sounds like y'all were, taking on some big pain points of Kansas City, but then also some unique ones with the pandemic and having to use Zoom, just figuring that all out. It's interesting because being a community builder to watch in 2021 looks so different than other years because of the pandemic. So how has that affected your work?
Yeah, we didn't let it affect us. We realized that it was even more important, right? I know Charon and I did this when the pandemic started. We, along with our class, we felt like we needed to lean in even more because the community that we serve were already, a lot of the folks in the community that we serve were already some of the hardest to serve. When you talk about small business and you talk about resources and connectivity and all these things that we lack in the community that we come from, we felt like this pandemic was going to either divide us further or we could take a stand and try to figure out a way to connect the dots and make it, we lean in and make it more connected. So we started a Facebook show and we did it for
76 weeks.
76 weeks straight. And we brought together so many different communities to just talk about, what they did, obviously to give them some exposure and promote them, but also really dive into like pain points and try to figure out how to solve problems with community's input, right? So the folks that were commenting, I think, and I could be exaggerating a little bit, but I feel like we had like over 100,000 views during, well over 100,000 views during that period. And, imagine the comments and questions and connectivity that happened through that. It was an amazing thing. So, like when you talk about the pandemic and how we had to what did we do? We adopted and kind of leaned in and tried to figure out ways to better support the community that we serve. It's important. That was important.
Yeah. If I can tell you how important representation is, this is it. Because 2020 hit us hard. Our Black and brown communities lost a lot of family and friends. We're hit with the most, deaths and loss. And so watching Porterhouse KC and seeing that they were able to do a podcast, they were able to get this entrepreneur program up and running with like no experience in regards to like StreamYard and things like that.
Yeah.
I took it on myself and said, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And I started my own podcast, Midwest Chicana, and we did the same thing. We did it with our brown community in regards to mental health, our cultural pieces of Kansas City that maybe others don't know about. Any resources and access, just like talking with, because they were on my show as well, how we can support each other. And there are resources, even though in our dreadest times, there are people out there who will support you and are going through the same thing you are. And we all needed that support. And so our Latino Arts Festival, which would have been in its 5th year, we decided instead of being that group that brought on the pandemic even more by being in person, I said, we're gonna do it virtual. And we did a whole month-long virtual program with no funding, little to no experience. But we knew how important it was for our community to still be there and be united and feel like we can still celebrate and we can still have that sorrow and pain and be together doing that, even if it's on Zoom. And one of those biggest programs we did in our art mentorship was our mental health program. We did art therapy, and that was probably our biggest program that we had virtually in 2020. And again, watching those people that look like us and have the similar backgrounds is so important. And that's why when our communities are silent or humble about what they do, we can't do that anymore. We have to speak out and start showing all the things that we are accomplishing, and that our struggles and our pain points, our good points are so important to share because of this. I would not have gone through 2020 probably successfully, or maybe even made it through without some of the support that Porterhouse KC gave to me.
Thank you. We also, we saw that people need help, so we wanted to guide them with that too. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really been a year of learning, and the community acknowledged that, with voting y'all in as community builders.
surprised.
Yeah,
Me
too.
Humbled,
Yes.
humbled and surprised. You know, like we were talking earlier, we don't, you know, and I know Deanna probably agrees, we don't do this, we never even envisioned it to be what it is to even to this point, right? And, you know, there's so much more that is awaiting us and we're waiting to unlock, but we're just excited about acknowledgement from our peers, because I'm pretty sure a lot of our peers kind of voted us, put us in this space. So we wouldn't been able to do it without the community, without sports, and the folks that are in our ecosystem. So we just appreciate everybody, and we're just excited to continue the work. So,
Our family.
Yeah.
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 Sharon said that he slid that in there.
I know.
Like I forgot. I didn't forget.
family,
My
our
wife and
family.
kids.
Here's the four biggest.
Well, no,
100%.
the Porterhouse KC family.
Oh, yeah, too. Yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah, okay.
And there have been some pretty significant events that y'all have hosted through supporting small businesses with pop-up festivals and the vaccine drive. Could you dive a little bit into those?
Yeah, so we're actually partnering with UMKC and a multitude of other small businesses and organizations to really push the need for individuals to get vaccinated, and we do it by multiple drives. So we've gotten over 100 folks so far vaccinated through our events. We actually have another one coming up on November 13th where we're doing like some really cool giveaways. Got some really cool tennis shoes from One Pair KC. We're giving away like 30 pair of tennis shoes. We're giving away some game systems, some tickets, and all kind of fun stuff. But again, the whole purpose of all that is to keep Kansas City healthy. And you see we got this Our Healthy KC mask on, and so we really support and really dive into that.
And I'm pretty sure Deanna has some events coming up too.
Yeah.
We didn't say that we're part of her board.
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
We try to help out whenever we can.
You
You
do.
know, we try our best.
Yeah, and again, in 2020, things just changed for us. And one of those things was, how do we successfully do a festival again, even in this year, you know? So we partnered with many different communities. We said in 2021, we are going to do small pop-ups, start small, and try to get into as many of our communities as we can. And so in April, we started with like 8 vendors who are very small business, starting out. You know, some have been already established, but maybe just have not had that opportunity to sell their work. Artists, makers, vendors, you know, music, cultural related stuff. But every month since that, we've had a festival, and we have gained, we are now up to, we have about 60 vendors who are on our roster. But the groups that we partner with are like groups like El Centro, who are very much about the community health and vaccinations and giving those incentives to people who are getting vaccinated, and also the education piece of it. But overall, it is truly about supporting our communities. Mm-hmm. Our events, even Latino Arts Foundation itself, was built of and for our community. I would not be here if it wasn't for them, and I wouldn't still be doing the work I'm doing without them. So they're our biggest supporters, our biggest donors, and I love the fact that the ecosystem works in a way that they give to our community of events and, you know, art mentorship programs, and then we give it right back. You know, so it's a continuous circle of trying to ensure that our communities are taken care of. And so when I say that I stand on the backs of our community, we truly do. And anything that we can do to support them is always first of mind. And so our events are free, which is always kind of a challenge. Yeah. But we've stuck to that for the last 12 years. Our Latino Arts Foundation art mentorship is free, and all our festivals are free. So we don't make anything off of these. The thing that we hope to accomplish is that these vendors go home feeling like they did something. They are growing. They learned something new. They met new people in their community, or let the community see what they're doing. And that's just the most important thing.
And I know y'all mentioned it's not about the titles or the awards, it's about the impact that you're making. But how are you going to use this momentum going forward into 2022?
Yeah, I mean, we have so much kind of on the table right now. We have a space right off of 31st and Truce that we are currently getting renovated. The goal for that space is is more connectivity, but we want to have a place where people can fail a lot and fail fast and as possible, because we know through failure becomes success. And so that's what that space is going to be for, but it's rooted in retail. So we're going to have folks that are going to be able to sell products and have their own stores within this space. Upstairs is a co-working space, co-working environment. So we're really excited about getting that finished up and going through that process. And then we actually have another cohort coming up in January of 2022 for our small business development program. We got a lot of stuff that we're working on, and we're trying to expand beyond Kansas City. So yeah, we're just rooted in work and really just excited about this next phase and this next step. So we just appreciate the highlight, and yeah, man, this is exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you answered it greatly. I mean, it's all of that.
For us, I'm actually hopefully get to that point at some point in our lineage, but this is always great. So you hear it and you're like, we can aspire there some point. But right now, this moment and this honor definitely, I hope, allows others like myself who thought maybe they could never do what they wanted to do, or thought there was never going to be access or opportunity for them, that they actually see that there is somebody out there with a story like theirs, and they're here. They're sitting here talking. They're with Startland News, and amongst many other amazing people who are doing great work. And so I just hope this brings more equity in our arts ecosystem in Kansas City, because I think that's just something that we're going to continuously fight for and hope to gain some traction of change in that. And then also equity in our entrepreneurial ecosystem, especially in the Brown community, where we're mostly forgotten. And we need to start raising up our communities to be strong entrepreneurial people here, because I turn around and it's like, oh my gosh, another entrepreneur, another artist. It's like there's so many. So when people say that they don't know who in our community could support them, like on boards or, in an interview, it's like, if you just turn around, and walk into their communities, walk into their spaces, you're going to find a multitude of people that are doing amazing work. So that's what I hope this moment will be for those that are watching, that I can do this. And there's resources out there that I can tap into.
I love it. You see it, you can be it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dan, Deanna, Charon, thank you all so much for being here, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We're drinking coffee in the morning. We're strategizing, storyboarding. This is how we start each day.
Hey.
Good morning.
Pulling up to the scene with the sis team. Do 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 do. Lights, camera, audio.
Check.
Shouting you out to look your best. You can trust our team, we're here to help. Now we're back at the studio, oh. Time to make your video glow. Small but mighty, watch us grow. Bookstellar Image Studios.
Hi, we're Golden Groves, and this is Dinosaurs. Now take these reckless deals. Feel that tension rise, sitting on pins and needles. But look at how we're catching fire, so inspired. Yeah, that's what matters. We stand together now. City boy, there's a lot that I enjoy, but it only matters while I'm sharing it with you. In this world there's lots of love, sitting back ain't good enough, and it all don't matter but I'm sharing it with you. Raise your glass if you're living your broken dream. Shake it back and forth. Got love and give it, go on and live it now. Yeah, I can take it, we can make it somehow. I'm a Kansas City boy, there's a lot that I enjoy, but it only matters while I'm sharing it with you. In this world there's lots of love, sitting back ain't good enough, and it don't matter much. I'm a Kansas City boy, there's a lot that I enjoy, but it only matters while I'm sharing it with you. Come on now, in this world there's lots of love, sitting back ain't good enough, and it all don't matter much, sharing it with you. Come on. Thank you so much.
All right, welcome guys. Congratulations on being named to our inaugural Community Builders to Watch list. We'll get started with the conversation, but first let's do some intros.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. My name is Maxfield Kaniger, and I'm the CEO at Kanbe's Markets.
Nia Richardson, I work with the City of Kansas City. I'm the Director for Small Business and Entrepreneurship. I'm Cornell Ellis. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Brothers Liberating Our Communities.
Well, each of you is here today because through the first Community Builders to Watch program that we're doing this year, you were selected as 3 of the honorees by our judges. So I want to say congratulations first off.
Thank you.
Yeah. And today I want to talk to you a little about, the reasons why you made it onto this list in the first year. Start with you, Nia.
Put me on the spot. All right.
I think we first met about 3 years ago at Global Entrepreneurship Week. And at the time you were kind of on the other side of things. What's it been like shifting from a member of the public to somebody working with the city?
So first of all, I thought I was gonna get fired before I even got hired when we met and that article broke. Since kind of coming to the other side and working for the man now, it's great to get that perspective internally of how things are operating, how processes go. And my job has been to make that easier for people who are looking to start a business in Kansas City. It's been different because I used to be the person screaming at the city, you're not doing this right now. I'm on the inside like, okay, we could do this better so we can have less people fussing at us and we can be of more service, public servants to our citizens and what they need to do. So it's been interesting transition from how I started, yeah.
Well, it's been good to see from the outside. Max, I think over the last, seems like year, but maybe a little bit more than that, we've been hearing a lot of news out of your organization for funding. How have you been making that happen?
Luck, a lot of blind luck and good people in Kansas City and organizations like Startland and helping us get the word out. Really does. I think Kansas City is full of people that want to help if they know what's out there to give their help to. And we've been really lucky at getting the word out and I think everybody's got to eat, and that's an easy message to sell. And so I feel very fortunate that we were in the right place at the right time.
Well, turn to you, Cornell. I'm the least familiar with your work, but I asked before we did this if I could mention the number of nominations, and you actually had the most nominations of any of the candidates for the list, and they came from across a variety of different industries. So I wondered if you could maybe just touch on the work that you do and kind of where it got started.
Yeah, thank you. That's so humbling to hear because I have been working a lot to get the story out and get the message out, really to tell the narrative. Only 2% of teachers nationwide are Black men. And that's not a data point that many people know or are aware of. Here in Missouri, it's even less, 1%. And so as an educator myself, for over a decade, I saw that data point living. Saw not very many teachers that looked like myself or the students that we serve. And when those teachers were in buildings, they were in and out. The retention was even more dismal than their actual representation was. And so my work really fell into this idea of how can we start to retain and increase representation of Black educators in schools, specifically Black male teachers. Because being a Black male myself and looking at some of the data, our Black students, Black male students are some of the most disproportionately affected by oppressive educational systems. The data also shows that when there are more Black educators, Black men specifically, students achieve higher. So to me, it was a no-brainer. How can we work to increase the number of Black male teachers in schools? So since 2016, BLOC has been working in the Kansas City metro area and around the Midwest region to touch lives, help sustain and retain Black educators so that they can go into schools every day and be their best selves.
Well, I'll ask this question of everybody so you guys can hear it first, but I'll have you answer first. How have you seen the need for your program evolve over the last 18 months?
I mean, it's interesting. That's an interesting question, right? Because racism didn't evolve in the last 18 months, right? I think that the disproportionate institutions and systems that we're seeing in schools that have become maybe more illuminated in the last 18 months, right, didn't become or didn't create themselves over the last even 5 to 10, 20 years. So this idea of the project or the work becoming more well-known right over the last 18 months because of recent events inside of media, because of the political climate, because of, let's be not even the national political climate, our local political climate, and the ways that students are experiencing schools on a daily basis. The need for this work has become more evident, right? And it's really interesting to see how philanthropists and policymakers and just the everyday person, they're starting to take more of a note about what's happening in schools.
Nia, same question to you.
So how has it evolved in the last 18 months? So when I first came into the city, managing the BizCare office, a lot of the services were there, they were great, but just like all the other small businesses in COVID, we had to pivot virtually as well. So we were limited to face-to-face interactions, and so by chance, luckily, we were already working with a startup to develop the technology we needed to actually pivot virtually. So now people can go to a website, sign up, get a free customized checklist, and will know every step they need to take based on the type of business that they have, with understanding what registration permits or licenses are needed in order to get their business legally started. Like, you don't come to me, you're not legit, right? That's kind of how I see it, but I make the process easy for them to understand. There's other cool tools on there that they can do virtually now, and so we made it so that it's mobile friendly, so we're not creating a bigger digital divide. So people can literally start a business from their phone. And a lot of times, even before COVID, again, we would help people face to face, sit in front of a public computer, with what they need, and we could really get them through that process in like an hour or less. Now it's much more dependent upon them to do it, so that time probably has changed, but the resources are there for them, and it's centralized to one site. The back end of that technology that we built, now we are putting together these different pieces so we can get a clear picture of the state of small businesses in Kansas City. That was a lot of things that weren't being captured before. So I want to know, where are the businesses located? Are they in low, moderate income areas? Are they Black-owned businesses? Are they Hispanic-owned businesses? Are they mobile? What are the trends that are happening? We also use the technology to create a program, to put forth the program. We saw a model out of Philly that was introduced to us by the National League of Cities for PPP Prep. We took that same model, put the technology on it, turned that around in like less than 10 days, put the application out there, and from that program, along with 2 partners, we were able to help Black and minority-owned businesses access over $2 million in SBA and local relief type efforts. So technology can go a long way, and I think that was the point of me being recruited and hired with the city, was to advance our work. And in the last 18 months, we've definitely done that. And to give you the numbers as far as the impact, since the onset of the pandemic, Kansas City has seen we're probably close to almost 4,000 new business licenses that have been issued. So people are still starting businesses, people are pivoting to entrepreneurship, and now we have tools to help us see the trends, understand their needs, because I'm in the city, so I need to let our mayor know, our city manager know, and our city council people know what's going on with their businesses, what policies do they need to change that, and especially when you're looking at access to capital, how can I make that easier? What are the barriers? And we don't want just hypothetical data that's out there that could be just for anybody. I want to know specifically for Kansas City, Missouri, what do my businesses need for them to succeed? Because with that, I am just always been on track. My goal with my role with the city is to create the city of entrepreneurs. I want Kansas City to be that place where everybody comes to be an entrepreneur. And so this technology and the tools that we're doing and the new things that are coming our way, you'll see a lot more in another 18 months. It's really, really going to help us do that. And we're light years ahead, many other cities with doing this stuff.
Exciting.
How about you? That is exciting. That is exciting. Yeah. Well, that is exciting. But I'm also building a business, and the easier and easier that gets, and all those. I'm not good at the following of the rules and checking the boxes. So having that resource is huge. I'd look at like how our business changed over the last 18 months. Kind of echoes a little bit of what Cornell said, where it is, hunger is not a new issue. It is definitely expanded and increased. I think what I'm really looking at and focusing on is not so much that increase, that is the day-to-day, but I want to think about like the food system has been broken for a long time. It's been kind of shattered the last 18 months, and I look at that as an opportunity. If we've got to start from scratch, why not build it back the right way? Why not take the opportunity to build an equitable food system where everybody really does have access and has the opportunity to make that choice to feed their families healthy food? And that's where I think the pandemic has made it impossible to avoid knowing about or seeing these issues. And it's something that we've heard, here in Kansas City, but across the country, that there are supply chain issues. There are all kinds of issues that lead the people who are most in need of support left without. And I don't think that needs to be the case going forward.
Well, all three of you guys are doing great work, and we're here to celebrate you today. We also want to give you an opportunity to talk about some of the people that have supported you in these endeavors. I'll start with you, Max. Is there anybody that's helped make your work possible that you'd want to acknowledge?
Oh, wow. How much time do we have? I mean, because I kind of joke around that I don't actually believe I've ever had an original thought. It is all just a bunch of other people with great ideas that I've surrounded myself with. I mean, first and foremost, my parents are both entrepreneurs and think outside the box, and having them to constantly turn to. I don't know, somebody you might know that I get to turn to pretty often, Sean Hughes. His mom, Mamie, was our first board member and helped me kind of get this thing started, but being able to reach out and connect with them often. Adam at Startland is somebody that I try and talk to at least once a month. Tara at KC Tenants is somebody that also is, I think, trying to build an organization, and I think I have a lot to learn from her, because I think we have different skill sets when it comes to building organizations like this. Cornell used to be actually a part of the team over at Kanbe, and so I feel like I'm surrounded by good people who've been able to help me really get to where we're going. I've got a great board of directors that is constantly working very hard. We had actually one of our newest board members, Gretchen Calhoun, and Darlene came over to the warehouse last night just to help me call donors and just to say thank you. And that's not something I really have the capacity. While I have the desire, I can't call everybody myself, and knowing that they're going to come after work, after they finish their day, and just sit and make phone calls to people that they've never met. That means a lot, and it's all of those little details that come together. And as we've built a team, our team grew at the beginning of 2020. We were 3 full-time staff, and now we're just under 30, and I feel very lucky with the team that we have. So yeah, like I said, I can keep going and going and going, but I mean, those are, like, as I work down the list, the first people that kind of come to mind.
Nia, what kind of support have you seen?
So, just the entire ecosystem for small business. There have been several people within the ecosystem that if I name one, I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't name the other.
That was the right move.
That's really? So anybody in the Kansas City small business ecosystem, entrepreneurial support organizations, chambers, pretty much all the minority chambers have been very, very supportive. But if I was gonna really thank someone as to why I'm here today or how I got here today, first from the city, of course, Rick Usher, who's a former assistant city manager. If it was not for him and a couple other champions inside of City Hall, I probably wouldn't be here. He was the one that kind of tugged on me and said, hey, there's an opportunity coming up. I think you'd be great for this. And so, I was an a-hole and went into the interview session, was just like, here I am, here's what I do. Do you want this or not? That's kind of what I gave him. But beyond that, even with the new city manager, Brian Platt, and my new boss, we call her Melissa K, because we all slaughter her last name. They've been really super supportive of the work that I've been doing, especially being new to Kansas City. So they've definitely been great champions for me. But outside of that, I mean, the community that raised me, I had a huge village of folks, of elders and people that just kind of implanted a lot of things inside of me. But of course, most of all, you have to thank, of course, my parents, because I'm not an entrepreneur per se, but I was raised by entrepreneurs. So, before coming to work with the city, I worked for my father for about 13 years. He has a civil and structural engineering business. So because of him, I learned a lot of what I'm applying today in the work that I do. I understand exactly what small businesses need, particularly minority-owned businesses when working for the city. If it was not for him being an entrepreneur and giving me the opportunity to work for him, I would not have been out in the community as much as I have, because I wasn't really recruited off of what I did with my father. I was recruited off of the work that I did in the community. And I was seen there, and I was able to, take advantage of the different platforms that I was given. And so everyone, every board, every person I engage with, and everyone who's been a champion with me at the city have everything to do with why I'm here today. But of course, my mother and father, they birthed me. I guess you got to give them credit for life. I think they're proud now, because I was not the best kid growing up, and I know some people look at me like, "Wow, you made it." I made it. I did all right. Now I'm looking at my kids like, "Please."
Please surprise me. Yeah, but you've got a long way. There's always hope.
There's always hope. 3, I figure one of them's gonna make it. One of them's gonna be good. But those are my thank yous for folks. Absolutely.
I mean, I'll definitely have to hop on that train with the parents and the influence from home. My mother's been an educator for 30, 40 years. She still teaches in the Kansas City Public Schools. So shout out to Miss Ellis. My sister has been an educator, and she's my big sister. So I've been chasing after this example of a much better kid than me for a very long time. And she's in art education, very, very accomplished academic. And so it's really been easy for me to follow along in those footsteps. My father, my late father, was the biggest educational influence on me. I was an athlete. I wasn't a school person. You know, I went to school so that I could play sports. And he was the one that really pushed me to continue going, to continue seeing the value in education. I was homeschooled for a couple of years when I really struggled, you know, because he really needed me to see that education was the key to really unlock some of the issues and some of the oppressive tendencies that the world was going to be throwing at me. Beyond that, beyond my family and my immediate household, I have to go with the co-founders of the organization. Spencer Hardwick is a really, really close friend of mine, a guy we went to high school with and who's been here since the beginning as a thought partner, and a guy that I can always bounce ideas off of. Jeff Schaefer, the executive director of City Year. Charles King, the executive director of Kansas City Teacher Residency. Mary Esselman, the executive director of Operation Breakthrough. They're all on my board, along with Spark Bookhart, another really great thinker and really great mind to be partnered with. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Corey Scholes. Corey was a former principal of mine and teacher who was a founder of the Kaufman School, who really kind of gave me an opportunity to teach from the very beginning. She helped me launch Amplify, which is our first Teachers of Color conference, and she was the reason why we went to Philadelphia in the first place, to see this national Black male educator conference that really inspired us. The Kaufman Foundation itself, right, with Sherman Whites and Murray Woodard, some of those guys have been some of our very first founders and people that believed in us, funders and people that believed in us from the beginning. So I really appreciate those people, including my family, and of course I have a partner and a son at home, a family that doesn't mind when I come home too late, or understands when I have to open up my computer after bedtime, understands when I wake up in the middle of the night and have to write something down, because that's the life of an entrepreneur, right? So of course a shout out to them too. I hope they see this.
So I appreciate all of your humility. One last big question for each of you. What do you need moving forward to keep what you've started a success, or what you have going a success? I'll start with you again.
That's a tough question. I think the easy answer would be like financial support, right? Like funds, right? Like we know that Black and brown nonprofit organizations and entrepreneurs receive less money than white-owned organizations. So if you are a person that believes the representation inside of school matters, then you can do that, you know, by supporting with your dollars. School systems and school leaders need to have their thinking hats on, right? I think that Max kind of alluded to earlier with the food system. I think the educational system is the same way. Over the last 18 months, we've kind of seen it blown up and flipped on its head. And things that we didn't quite see as possible 2 years ago now are the norm. And so as we start to rebuild what education can look like, I ask the educational leaders, teachers, families, students, keep an open mind of what education can look like. Keep an open mind at what maybe something that you didn't learn or some way that you weren't taught may not necessarily be right or wrong. It's about what do students need and how can we provide equitable opportunities for all kids.
Nia, what do you need to be successful?
What do we need? I mean, besides money?
Right, we can all just say money, right?
Capital. I think what helps us to remain open as an office, right now I'm positioned under the city manager, is when we do help someone, talk about it, tweet about it, give me a great review. I'm no different than any other business. In order for my office to maintain, people, the politicians or the powers that be need to know that it's effective, that it's providing some impact. And usually when people can see it in real life on demand through social media, that helps. It helps a lot. When budget season comes up, advocate for us. That's really the main thing that we need. I do the job on the other end with trying to find the money that we need to go beyond what's in our budget, because we're kind of limited to that. And also making sure I'm not competing with anybody else, any of my partners. but how do I find funding to really help them? So it's not really me who needs anything per se. I need help helping my partners. I need help making sure that these entrepreneurial organizations that support our small business owners have the capacity, have the capability. I am working to try to teach them our processes. I mean, these are things that only we as cities can do, like permits, licensing. We can do this, nobody else really can take that over. But if I teach you the process, that also, not only raises the bar of your program, but it also allows you to provide more impact to the small business owners, which means, I just want to make sure that anybody I refer you to is not wasting your time. They're not paper pushing you or anything of that sort. So I want to make sure you get the same customer service, the same impact, the same resources from anyone that we push you out to. So the biggest thing I need is more support for my partners and to see them grow and advance, because that just makes my job a lot easier too.
I mean, yeah, cash is king, so definitely that. I think funding across the board is something that helps. We've had, the pros and cons of growing as quickly as we have is that we also have a lot more that we need to raise on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. But beyond that, awareness. We're a really new organization. I think most people don't even know that we exist. I'd say most of the communities that we're in don't even know that it is us that's there, because we work very directly with partner stores. And that part of it is okay. If the store is growing, then that works for me. But I actually also could really use the help and the feedback of what we're doing poorly. I got lots of ideas, and I'm always looking to try and improve. And so any opportunity to shout us out and share the good work that we're doing, love that. But any opportunity to call us out for where we're missing the mark, please do that too, because that's how I can really dial in and do better. And I can't really learn if I don't know what's going on. So that's something I would appreciate.
Awesome. Well, thank all of you for joining us today, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
The idea behind the collective is to really work together, to pool resources, to start collaborating, and to find ways that we can better serve our audiences and the public here.
I think the KC Media Collective is an opportunity for us to redefine how newsrooms interact in Kansas City. I think this is a potential for us to replace competition with collaboration.
We're hoping to create a model that makes this kind of thing and that makes local journalism sustainable years and decades into the future.
No idea is a bad idea, and we're sort of throwing out the traditional rules and trying to find the way forward.
Nonprofit media organizations can do more good work together than they can apart.
We know that an informed citizenry is the bedrock to a strong community, and we believe that through our collective efforts, we're able to better serve and inform the community so we can be stronger and better together.
That does it for this edition of Startland News Reports. We thank you for joining us, and we thank our sponsors at Fishtech, Plexpod, Google Fiber, the Kauffman Foundation, and of course, all of you at home. We hope you'll join us again in January as we reveal our list of Kansas City startups to watch in 2022. Until then, we hope you stay safe, we hope you stay healthy, and for more bold, untold stories of innovation in Kansas City, visit startlandnews.com 24/7.